Twin Cities' fastest-growing television news, News 11, with Paul Majors, Diana Pierce, Jeff Passelt on sports, and meteorologist Paul Douglas.
Good afternoon. Topping News 11 at 5. More than 120 people are carried off by police after they blocked the doors of a St. Paul Planned Parenthood clinic.
The protesters were members of pro-life action ministries.
One by one, those arrested were loaded into 3 city buses and 2 police vans and taken to police station this morning. In all, 200 anti-abortionists demonstrated at the Planned Parenthood clinic on Ford Parkway in St. Paul. Members of the Pro-Life Action Ministries said the protest was inspired by Operation Rescue, a national anti-abortion group founded in New York. We have a team report on today's pro-life protest and how Planned Parenthood workers feel about today's demonstration. We begin with News 11's Alan Costantini.
They arrived 200 strong about 8 this morning, locked arms and blocked the entrances to the Planned Parenthood clinic on St. Paul's Ford Parkway. There have been violent anti-abortion protests here in the past, including bombings, but this remained peaceful. Clinic workers waited in the parking lot and at police request did not try to get into the building and force a confrontation. They say the protest is a sign of desperation. Protesters, of course, disagree.
We don't know what the majority of Americans believe, honestly, without an election or a vote. Which we haven't had on this issue.
It was just after 10 a.m. when Planned Parenthood's patients ran out.
You're trespassing on private property. Please leave now.
Brothers and sisters, are we going to leave? No! Why? Please be seated.
St. Paul police brought up buses and vans and began to calmly arrest and carry away the protesters. For their part, the protesters waited patiently to be carried to the buses and the police vans. They had come expecting to be arrested. Among them was Anita, no last name given, of Bloomington.
If I save one life today, I'll be happy.
She was the 64th person arrested. In all, 129 were taken to police headquarters on misdemeanor charges of trespassing. And at 11:20, the clinic opened for business as staff and clients finally entered the building. Despite the protest, Susan Wiese tells us it was business as usual for the rest of the day inside the clinic.
Patients scheduled for clinic appointments here were provided with yellow-vested escorts to shield them from anti-abortion demonstrators.
Let her go.
Security guards, too, were on hand to keep clients from being hassled.
It's got no arms and no legs.
This so that anyone who needed to go inside the Planned Parenthood clinic today was allowed to pass through its doorway.
If the focus of the demonstration was to say Planned Parenthood cannot provide services today, it was an abject failure.
Good afternoon, Planned Parenthood.
By this afternoon, appointments for abortions and contraceptive services were back on schedule after this morning's demonstration delayed the opening of the Planned Parenthood clinic by 2 hours. That delay meant men were referred elsewhere for vasectomies today.
I'm sorry.
The people who work here say just as today's disturbance was unable to entirely disrupt operations, anti-abortionists have been equally ineffective in persuading the public to change its mind on abortion. A recent NBC poll shows 63% of Americans endorse a woman's right to have an abortion. And Planned Parenthood, along with pro-choice leaders, say they expect they'll continue to need to work hard to protect a woman's constitutional right to abortion. Susan Wiese, News 11, St. Paul.
This morning's protest cost the city of St. Paul about $8,000 in terms of bus rental and police power. And for one protester, it may cost jail time. Police booked one man who had a warrant for unpaid parking tickets.
Plans to appoint a new police chief in Minneapolis fell through today. That's